Welcome to Mishna study Masechet Maaser Sheni Perek Aleph Mishnah. Hey, over here we're going to speak about if a person went ahead and he bought water or salt or other fruits that are attached to the ground, and we'll see, in general cases more fruits, whether or not this is considered Maaser Sheni or not. Right? So a person buys water, salt, or fruits that are connected to the ground, right? The grapes, they're still attached to the vine. Or he has fruits that he bought on his way up from Tel Aviv to Yerushalayim. He stops off in Modi'in and he sees some figs, but they're not going to make it. They're not ripe. They're overripe. Maybe they're not going to make it to Yerushalayim by the time he's going to reach it. Lo kana maaser. He did not buy maaser. It doesn't count. All right, so how do we know this? Well, we learn this from a klal prat to klal. Right, klal prat to klal is one of the ways where we learn laws from the Torah. It's one of the actually the 13 midot of Rabbi Ishmael that we learn how to derive halachot from the Torah, and that is the pasuk says you go ahead and you could purchase anything that your heart desires. Okay, it sounds like it's anything. And then the pasuk continues, and you could buy, cattle and and son, and sheep and wine and alcoholic beverages. Oh, so it seems like you can only buy those four. And then the pasuk continues, and anything that your heart desires. Right. So what are you allowed to buy? Anything your heart desires, or only those four items? So what do we learn from here? Our rule, the way we study, the way we learn halachot from here, is we say anything, right? Klalu pratu klal, ena tadan ela ka'ena prat. We learn anything similar, right, to the prat, right? Anything similar to the pointed examples that it gave in that pasuk, right? Not just those four, but anything similar to those four. And what do we learn from here? So we learn from here the same way the prat, the same way that detailed example was something that is food, right? And it comes from the ground, right? Gadel min haaretz, right? Also, or nourishes, right, from the ground. Bakar and son also, they nourish themselves from the ground, from the grass and the weeds, and they'll nourish themselves from that. Right, and they could also last for a long time, right? As opposed to the fruits that may be some fruits that may be rotting, that will be excluded, right? So too, we only allowed to buy with Maaser Sheni money things that match all these criteria. So water and salt are out, right? Because those aren't things that grow from the ground. Right, Rambam according to Rambam, understood the four elements, theory, right, as opposed to our periodic chart of elements. They used to think that there were four elements. That's how they, viewed science. So over here, the water is one of the elements, and it's not from the ground, right? That's not the dirt. And they actually looked at salt as something like burnt dirt, right? So that's not considered also something that can be purchased with Maaser Sheni money. Similarly, fruits that are still attached to the ground, or fruits that can't reach Yerushalayim, right? Those are not similar to bakar, tzon, yain, and shechar, right? For the reasons that we mentioned above, right? Because it's not similar to the prat. So therefore, all these things, lo kana maaser, it doesn't count. You didn't buy maaser, it doesn't count. Now, halokeach perot, right? But so if you didn't buy maaser, then what's the status, right? So it doesn't count as maaser, and the money that you spent also doesn't become holy money, right? It still stays as maaser sheni money because the transaction nothing really happened, nothing really transpired. Now the halukach perot shogeg yachziru demem l'kumam. If a person buys fruits by mistake, he goes ahead, he didn't realize he had maaser sheni money. He had it in his wallet. He didn't realize that the $100 he just pulled out, that was really maaser sheni $100. Okay, so now what? You went ahead and you just bought apples with this money. Now what happens to these apples? You did it by mistake. So the money returns back to the original owner. Right? It's almost like a mekach ta'ut. It's almost like the transaction never happened. You need to go ahead and return everything. The person who spent the $100, he gets his $100 back, right? And the person who sold the apples, he gets the apples back, and they are not maaser sheni, right? So everything reverses. Um, right. So in that case, again, the money didn't become cholin, and he didn't buy maaser. But now, vim mezid, let's say it was mezid, you bought it purposefully. Right now, okay, at that point, yalu v'yachlu komam. Then you take those fruits up and go eat them in the makom, right? Makom Hashem in Yerushalayim. Go ahead and eat it there. V'im en mikdash. If there is no bet mikdash, now if there is no bet mikdash, the laws, the Maaser Sheni laws don't, you can't not allowed to go ahead and bring it and eat it in Yerushalayim, right? So what do? In mikdash, if there's no mikdash around Yirkavu, then you need to let these fruits rot, right? And this is actually what we do today. Actually, if a person has two options, you could separate Maaser. If he separates Maaser Sheni, if he actually separates the fruit, you could either let it rot, or you could transfer the kedusha onto a coin. And most people have just a coin. They have a coin in their house. That's what we have in Israel. We have a coin in our house after you separate the Truma and the Maaser Rishon. So on the years 1, 2, 4, and 5, we go ahead and we separate Maaser Sheni and we transfer the Kedusha, we redeem it onto the coin. And that coin is a kadosh coin of Maaser Sheni that retains the status of Maaser Sheni, and then you're able to eat the fruit.